Hi there, everybody. I'm Jason Bulmahn, Game Master for the Knights of Everflame, and today I'm here to talk about Lys with Aki. Hey there, Aki. Welcome.
Hi.
So today, what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about the choices that went into creating Lys.
Sure.
Just in case everybody needs a reminder, what's Lys's full name? Because we shorten it down so much in the show.
Yeah, so Lys's full name is Lÿsonn Shorbucle.
How'd you end up going in that direction for a name?
Lÿsonn is adopted.
All right.
Without giving away too much detail, they were
Sure.
raised by an elven family, and their elven family seemed to have a very strong notion of keeping Lÿsonn very firmly grounded in the fact that you're a halfling. We want to respect that that's your heritage, which is, I think, possibly somewhat uncommon for most. I don't know specifically, but it's definitely very special. Shorbucle is actually Lysonn's halfling family name.
Oh, okay.
It's not the family name of their adoptive parents.
Sure.
Lysonn, however, is a name given to them by the parents that have raised them, essentially.
Oh, all right. Now, when we build characters in Pathfinder, we oftentimes talk about doing, the big three choices: the ancestry, the background, and the class. Now, we've already kind of given away the first one. You chose Halfling.
I did.
What drew you to Halfling?
I've always really liked halflings.
Sure.
There's something about their personality throughout the different fantasy lores that portrays them as being gentle and explorative and young at heart.
Yeah.
That kind of dynamic for me has always been great. I like playing positive characters. I played a halfling in another game long ago, but I didn't get to play her for very long. She was one of the last gendered characters I played.
Sure.
And I just remembered having so much fun with her and not getting to play her as much as I wanted to. And I was like, well, this is an opportunity for me to really explore what halflings can do.
Another part of that is you also get to choose a heritage. And what heritage did you go with for Lys?
I chose a wildwood halfling.
Yeah. Now they're a bit more nature oriented. So is that having to do with the elven heritage? Is that what your thought on that was?
For sure. I think that if they had been raised in a completely different environment, they'd obviously be a very different halfling. But they were raised in essentially a wood.
Yeah.
They lived in a treetop village. You know, their whole upbringing was very centered around being one with nature.
Yeah, I believe we have you hailing from, you grew up in Kyanan, the kind of elven nation on the borders of Lake Incarthen, which puts you kind of across the lake from near Mythos and where our story takes place.
Yeah.
So your ancestry kind of all came together. That was pretty straightforward. Now, with background, you chose Scout.
Yes.
What's the deal there?
I think that they received a lot of training as a kid, doing things that a lot of rangers are very adept at. They are a halfling ranger specifically that doesn't use a slingshot, which is more common for halflings. They use a short bow, which is training they received from being an elf. And as an elf, being raised by an elf, they were also taught, this is how you hunt for things, this is how you forage for things, this is how you explore the world around you. And they were very adept at it. From their halfling ancestry, they were very good at moving silently and all that stuff, and they were basically like, well, I have all of these skills, I might as well put them to use. And so they were basically drafted into several scouting missions and stuff like that. So I was like, this idea that they grew up in sort of an insular place and then had the opportunity to explore beyond that and go other places sort of shaped this whole background for them.
Background is oftentimes used to represent kind of how you grew up. Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense, growing up with elves in Kyanan. I mean, that's kind of fits well like a glove. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of Lys,
Sure.
right? Let's talk about the choice to be a ranger. Everyone started out at 5th level. And part of the way through season 6, or season 1, spoilers, the group advanced to 6th level. So you've got some feats, you've got some skills, you've got some abilities of the ranger. Now let's just kind of walk through some of the feats and choices that you made for Lys.
Some of them are pretty cut and dry, I think, for having grown up in the environment that they have and the skills that they have. So for skill feats, for example, I picked out Experienced Tracker and Terrain Stalker, which made a lot of sense for...
It kind of perfectly fits, yeah.
But then when I was getting into Ranger, I I was really interested in sort of stripping a lot of, I don't want to say fluff, but stripping some of the more fancy skills away and like making them a very utilitarian ranger. So for example, when I was choosing which of my hunter's edges that I want, instead of choosing flurry, which I think is attractive to a lot of people because it's this idea that I can do a lot of shooting in one round. I was like, no, I think that what my character would have focused on more is like making the shot, period.
Yeah.
So I chose precision instead, which means I don't get to shoot as much, but when I do shoot, I do extra damage because I did it well.
Yeah, that's very elven, right?
Yeah.
You know, aim very carefully, make the right shot. Whereas had you been raised with halflings, there's a decent chance it's like, no, just shoot as much as possible.
Correct. I was like, that level of training was very much kind of playing around in the back of my brain when I chose precision instead of like one of the other choices for Hunter's Edge. I then also took on Hunted Shot because it gave me the opportunity to sort of offset the fact that I didn't do Flurry, so that I could take more shots in one round. And then there's one other feat that I haven't had the opportunity to really use yet that I'm going to kind of leave to the side for now.
Right.
And hopefully if it comes up, then we'll get I'll have the chance to talk about it.
Some secrets remain, yeah.
Yes, mostly because I haven't had I'll give a slight clue. All of our opponents have very much been out in the open, so I haven't really needed to use this yet. But I have a feeling, if I know you at all, that eventually your benevolence will make it possible for me to use this particular feat.
I have no idea what you mean.
Of course you don't.
Yeah.
And then of course it made no sense to not be a scout, to be a scout and not choose Scout's Warning.
Yeah.
Like, and that's so easy. It's just sort of like, yeah, get +1 at the very top of every combat session, because like it's just, yeah, I see the thing.
It's one of those things where, you know, throughout the campaign that we've played so far, you know, in many of the fights, it doesn't make any difference at all. It's like, oh, well, you had a 22 instead of a 21. No big deal. But there have been a number of key moments where it's like, oh, you tied with the monster, or you ended up one above it, and that's only because of Scout's Warning. So it's one of those things that doesn't seem like a big bonus when you pick it, but there are moments where it's key.
Yeah,
So.
I've actually really enjoyed having it because it's one of those things that... especially in the fight with the snake, really turned out to be very handy. It's just like, oh, that thing is coming. Let's not.
Yeah.
And then when we were leveling up, I remember not having a really solid plan about what I wanted to choose. And I was talking with you, and you were like, well, actually, this feat in particular might help you because I noticed that you struggle a lot with like how many actions you have,
Sure.
how many shots you can take. You should take quick draw. And I was reading over and I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I took it, and it's actually been very helpful.
Yeah, being able to draw that weapon and make an attack right away is not losing an action on that, especially when you need to move around or get yourself in a position, is pretty critical.
It certainly came in handy in the last episode of season 1.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One moment in particular.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that's special about Lys that you want to talk about? Any gear, any choices like that, or any of the other choices that make Lys who they are?
Well, some of the gear I have is only slightly come into play, but like I have a coyote cloak, which helps me when I'm tracking and when I'm foraging.
Sure.
It assists me in those sort of checks, and it's also just a very nice fashion accessory. Both my dagger and my short bow have names.
Oh, they
though
do?
Those have not yet been revealed for very
I
specific
see.
reasons.
And I believe your short bow has a piece of blue ribbon attached to it, doesn't it?
And then of course, you never see Lys without their trusty hat. There's a store behind that too. Of course, I have my boots of elven kind, which I received after the first pass at Cassin, and then I have my staff, which I have also been thinking about renaming.
All right.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but it's definitely something that's been sitting with Lys for the last 3 months.
I hope that we get to learn a lot more about Lys in Season 2 of Knights of Everflame. Aki, I want to thank you for stopping by to talk with us today, and I encourage all of you to tune in to see more of Lys's adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
No problem. Thank you.
See you all next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.